The most significant and controversial historical figure of all time may well be the most complete man who ever lived. I refer to the one who divided history into before and after, the man who, even without armies, wealth, or influence, laid the foundations of Western culture. His teachings transcend time, cultures, and even geographic borders, the man who was crucified for preaching love. To some, he is a legend, to others, an enlightened teacher, and to many, the true Son of God. However, he does not fit the image of a peaceful, submissive man that is often portrayed. On the contrary, he was someone who resisted temptations, confronted the political and religious structures of his time, and never surrendered to the world. Without delving into religious debates, I present in this video the masculinity of Jesus of Nazareth. Masculinity and leadership in many cultures have historically been associated with traits like physical strength, power, and control. This traditional view often promotes an ideal of manhood that is competitive, impenetrable, and domineering, rather than empathetic and accessible. However, this conception not only limits individual potential, but also perpetuates a cycle of inequality and oppression. When we look at prominent leaders in contemporary society, we often see a pattern that values strength over vulnerability and ambition over collaboration. This perspective is reflected in workplaces and personal relationships, where the pressure to conform to a rigid model of masculinity can lead to alienation and dehumanization. This is an issue many young adults and professionals face, the need to fit into a mold that does not allow for the genuine expression of emotions or the building of meaningful connections. By questioning what we consider strength and masculinity, we are invited to reflect on the impact of these norms on our daily lives. Jesus, by challenging these social expectations, offers us an alternative. His approach to leadership emphasizes service and compassion, showing that true strength lies not in dominating others, but in uplifting them. By deconstructing these traditional concepts, we can make room for a healthier, more inclusive masculinity that values empathy and vulnerability as virtues, transforming how we lead in our communities and professional environments. Jesus' leadership is a model that stands out for its emphasis on service and empathy. He not only proclaimed high principles, but also lived them out in his daily interactions. Jesus approached the marginalized, the sick, and the outcasts not as a distant ruler, but as a friend and a servant. Through acts like washing his disciples' feet, he demonstrated that true leadership is one that humbles itself to serve others, challenging the notion that leaders must be untouchable. This kind of leadership strongly contrasts with traditional social expectations that associate power with authority and superiority. Jesus teaches us that a leader's worth is not in the position they hold, but in their willingness to sacrifice personal comfort for the well-being of others. In doing so, he established a new standard of masculinity, one courageous enough to be vulnerable and strong enough to be gentle. For those seeking to develop their leadership skills, Jesus' teachings provide a clear path. Instead of pursuing competition, we can focus on how we can support and elevate others. This shift in perspective not only promotes a more collaborative environment, but also strengthens mutual trust and respect, which are essential in any leadership role. By internalizing these values, we are inspired to cultivate a masculinity that values service and compassion, thereby building a more just and supportive society. Courage and integrity are fundamental qualities that Jesus exemplified in his life, especially in moments of great pressure. He was never swayed by the temptations of power, wealth, or recognition. One of the most emblematic episodes illustrating this is the account of the temptations in the desert. Here, Jesus was challenged to use his divine power to satisfy personal desires, but he steadfastly resisted, facing the true evil, Satan, the father of lies. This showed that true strength lies in staying true to one's principles. These lessons are extremely relevant in a world where the pursuit of power and status often compromises emphasizes ethics and morality. Many leaders, whether in politics, business, or daily life, face dilemmas that test their integrity. The pressure to give in to these temptations is real and constant. Jesus teaches us that rather than yielding to these temptations, we must cultivate the courage to do what is right, even if it means going against the grain. Jesus' integrity was also evident in his confrontations with the religious and political leaders of his time. He challenged injustices and hypocrisies, refusing to be intimidated by threats or consequences. This stance not only earned him the respect of his followers, but also solidified his place as a true moral leader. For young adults and professionals aspiring to lead, this story serves as a powerful reminder. It is possible to be a strong leader without compromising our values. By resisting external pressures and staying true to ethical principles, we can not only inspire others, but also create a lasting impact in our communities. Jesus' courage to face challenges and his unwavering integrity provide a valuable model for navigating the complexities of the modern world. Vulnerability, often seen as a weakness in traditional leadership, is in fact a powerful form of connection and authenticity. Jesus exemplified this at many points in his life, expressing emotions like sadness, compassion, and even anger. When he wept over the death of Lazarus, he showed that pain is a natural part of the human experience, and this authenticity made his followers feel closer to him. By showing vulnerability, Jesus created a space where people felt comfortable sharing their own weaknesses and struggles. This approach builds an environment of trust where collaboration and mutual support can thrive. For today's leaders, recognizing that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness, is essential. By allowing themselves to be human, leaders can inspire others to do the same, fostering a sense of community and solidarity. Thus, by embracing vulnerability, leaders not only become more approachable, but also position themselves as agents of change, ready to face the challenges of an ever-evolving world. This perspective transforms masculinity into an expression of strength that includes the ability to be genuine and empathetic. The message and example of Jesus have the power to inspire a new generation of leaders who seek not only success, but also a positive and lasting impact on their communities. In a world where leadership is often associated with selfishness and competition, Jesus offers us an alternative model, servant leadership, rooted in values like empathy, compassion, and justice. Young adults and professionals aspiring to become leaders have a unique opportunity to rewrite the narrative of what it means to lead. By looking to the teachings of Jesus, they may discover that true leadership involves listening, supporting, and uplifting others. This approach fosters a healthier organizational and community culture where everyone feels valued and motivated to contribute. Moreover, the growing awareness of social and environmental issues calls for leaders who are responsible and ethical. By internalizing Jesus' principles of leadership, new leaders can become agents of change, addressing challenges like inequality, injustice, and environmental degradation. They have the power to transform not only their own lives, but also those of many around them. This new generation of leaders, inspired by the masculinity of Jesus, can cultivate a space where leadership is an expression of service, not domination. Through this transformation, we can look forward to a more just and empathetic future that promotes collective well-being and strengthens humanity at its core. Throughout this video, we have explored the masculinity of Jesus of Nazareth as a powerful example of servant leadership, empathy, and courage. In a world that often values power over compassion, his teachings offer us a new perspective on what it means to be a leader. Jesus shows us that true strength lies not in domination, but in the ability to serve and support others, building bonds of trust and mutual respect. By deconstructing traditional concepts of masculinity and leadership, we can inspire a new generation to embrace vulnerability as a strength and integrity as a fundamental principle. This transformation is not only essential for personal growth, but also for building fairer and more supportive communities. So, video, we invite you to reflect on how you can apply these teachings in your own life. How can you lead with empathy and service? What steps can you take to promote a masculinity that values compassion and solidarity? By adopting leadership inspired by Jesus, we can all contribute to a more ethical and humane world where true power is manifested in love and respect for others.